Morning. We're not there yet. Are we there? I think we're on. If we're on, if anybody's out there, hey, this is Joy. Good morning. We are doing the Inside the Circle, what lies beneath converting t-shirts into panties. Hopefully you can hear me. If you can't, somebody do a question saying you can't hear me. I'm not sure because I can't hear it on this side. But anyway, for the occasion, I wore a t-shirt. Yay! So, as we know, a lot of times we go to so many events where we get t-shirt after t-shirt after t-shirt. And so we end up with stacks of t-shirts. So today I wanted to just kind of show you some ideas, particularly converting them to panties. So let's start. Let's start with this one. This one says, have you ever really been kissed? Now, wouldn't that be great to put across your behind? I think so. So let's try another one. Here's one on the front. It says, we like Tom, or be like Tom. And then on the back, it has the frowny face and the smiley face. That would be cute. So that's one cheek and that's the other cheek. Then if you have shirts that have suffered, some kind of accident or something like that, that would be great. I always look to the back because the back has cute stuff. So this says think, debate, lead. So how about that across your behind? Think, debate, lead. What does that mean? So then you keep going and you can just keep going. Some t-shirts, and I'm going to show you one today that I'm going to use. I've already cut it out. As you can see, the front is missing. So I can make one pair out of the front of the shirt and then another pair out of the back. So I could put a 7 on one and then you'll see the front in just a moment. All right. Hold on one second. Are we on? Okay, good. All right. So want to show you some samples of underwear that I've made. Here's the underwear and look what's on the back. This is what was on the front of the t-shirt. A big smiley face. That's cute. Then here's another pair. And it says, this was my son's shirt. Don't juggle chainsaws. So that's cute. It's just a little surprise for us. Then here's one that's wanna hear my rap. So there's another option for you. These are all t-shirts so far, but I've also made underwear out of cotton. These are cotton, so they have very little, no stretch really, just a pair of cotton, but you've got to make them exactly to your size. As a warning, you have to be careful when you're looking at the shirts themselves and the design that's on the shirt. I don't know if you can hear that, but it makes noise. So be careful of the design. Test it out before you cut it out and make it, because that's not good. So I actually only wear these under yoga pants. But just shirts all over the place. And then I want to show you a mistake. This isn't really a mistake. I'm going to fix it. But because I knew I was doing this today, I decided not to fix it yet. See how cute that is? The mommy and daddy egg and their little baby's egg was broken. So this was a t-shirt of my son's, and he has his mouth gaped open right now because I guess he didn't realize I used it. But anyway, what ended up happening here, and I don't know if you can see it, but the elastic didn't work out well for me because I put it in too loose. I didn't pull it in enough. So when I wear them, can you see that? Let's see. So when I wear them, they stick out. The waistband sticks out. So that's a mistake, and we'll deal with how to fix that. Now let's talk about patterns. One of my favorites is Jan Bones, her patterns. This is the one that actually I'm a demo today. It's called the Smoothie. So she has that one, which I love. She also has men's boxer briefs. And then she has the women's boxer, which is real easy to make. Or you can go online and get patterns, and they will come out, something like this once you're done. This is actually size to me. So you'd have 3 pieces, the back, the front, and then the lining piece. Now with this pattern, the the outside piece is already connected to the front, and then you put the lining piece here, and that's what this is, a piece that will go against your body. With Jan's pattern, what you do is take the pattern, and it comes in multiple sizes, and you trace it out. Let's see, what piece am I holding? And you trace it to the size that you need. But her pattern also has three pieces, but you'll notice the back is big, the front is rather small, and that's because the back actually comes across to the front, so the seams are towards the front as opposed to right on the side. And that's something I like. And then you have the lining piece. So this is the one that I'm going to kind of show you today. Then the other thing that you will need is elastic. We have all types of elastic. You can, and actually the seam allowance. Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped something. The other piece of the pattern that you can do is take a pair of underwear that you wear, that you have. And what's funny is I have no more commercial underwear. I make all of my underwear. And then you can trace it. And I don't think you're going to be able to see this. So I'm going to do it this way. So you hold it up to a sheet of paper. Kenneth, can you put that camera down just a little bit so I come into view here? Very good. All right, so you take the underwear, you put it here, and then you trace around the outside. Okay, I'm not actually tracing it, obviously. And then you do a second one the same way, and you trace the inside. Okay, now your seam allowances are you're going to have to add seam allowances to the top and to the leg portion. And that seam allowance is going to be the width of the elastic that you're going to use. So you need to pay attention to that, and we'll come back to that in a moment. Then, of course, you're going to have this lining piece. So you just put that on a sheet of paper and you trace that as well. Depending on how you're going to do it, you may need two pieces of lining or just one if you did the front all together. Okay? So hopefully, if you've got any questions, Kenneth, put that back up for me. If you've got any questions, go ahead and type them in. Hopefully you can see where you can type in questions. Can they see that? All right. So if you have any questions, you need me to slow down or something like that, let me know. Okay. So there we go. We've got our pattern. Again, this is Jan Bone's patterns are called Excellence in Sewing. So if you want that, that's there. So I mentioned the elastic. So let's talk about that. We have the lingerie elastic, or what is this called? Pico, maybe. And that, well, you can't really see it. Let's try to get close here. You see it has the little pieces at the top, or the little design at the top. So you can use this as for your elastic. You can use, your little thin elastic or a little bit thicker. So this is what I'm talking about. Depending on what elastic you're going to use will determine the seam allowance. You can also use, well, we'll get to this in a minute. You can use this type of elastic where, let's see if I can get that close, where it's the non-roll. Can you see that? Hopefully you can. But it's the non-roll elastic. I don't particularly use this because it doesn't come thin enough. This is rather thick for me. And even if I'm putting it in and have this against my body, this is a little rough. So I don't like that. Another one that you can use, and this is kind of nice, particularly in the boxers, is this type of elastic. Ooh. And what you do is this is actually against your skin because it's very soft on the other side. So you would actually see where it has the little border here. That's the piece that you would actually sew onto your boxers or what have you, underwear. And then this soft part would be against your skin. So I really like this. The pairs that I made, I don't have anymore. So unfortunately, I can't show you that. Then another one to think about is your fold over elastic. And you know how popular this has become. But your fold over elastic can be used, and you just pretty much eliminate your seam allowances because this just goes directly over the top, like so. So because you're doing it that way, you don't need to add additional seam allowance. Just take it to the actual size that you need. All right, so we have our pattern, we've got our fabric and our t-shirts, we've got our elastic. So now let's talk about placement. So let's take this t-shirt for example. Atlanta is realtor town. Most of you know I'm a realtor, so that's why I have this t-shirt. But if you can look at it and look at me, you see it's way too big for me. So I would never wear it. So I'll make it into underwear. And then it's cute because it has Atlanta written in cursive over here. So I'll probably use that another way. So what you do when you're looking at placement is you pull the shirt apart and you just kind of put those shoulder seams together. You line those shoulder seams up. Okay. And what you're trying to do is just get a center of the shirt. That's all you're trying to do. And so now we have it here. You see half is on this side, half is on that side. Okay. I'm going to have to do all of this kind of holding it up. Then you take your pattern piece. And I like to put the big design on the back. Oh, let's go back for a second. You remember I told you to check for that noise? This isn't that noisy. So whereas this one is noisy, this one isn't. So I don't know, whatever process they use to screen print this on, it's not as noisy as this one. Okay, so we've got that. All right, so then what you do is you lay your back piece on the fold. Now, what I want you to see is that if I lay it that way, you see that part of the design is going to be cut off. You may not care. So then you just kind of want to shift it until you get it where you want it. Whoops. Okay. And then you cut it out. Now with this one, you see how close it is at the top? It's going to be a hard sell. I'm not going to be able to get the whole design in. So this might be one that I would make into boxers or something because that's longer. So let's try another one. Here's another one where you can already see that the design, this is on the front, and the design, you can test it. Oh, that design will work out perfectly. Can you see that? Whoops. Okay, so you can see what's behind the tracing paper. And by the way, I love my artist tracing paper. It works out really well because I can see straight through it. But it will fit. Now, all the words may not fit, but that's okay. So let's fold this one in half again. Try to find that center. Okay, that's about right. And so then we take our back piece and we just place it. And hopefully you can see, I'm trying to see it with you here, that the design actually fits into that. So this is good. I would use this one. I'll probably make them. Ask me at our next event and I'll probably have them on. But that would fit. Now, the front piece, just another piece of the shirt. And then the lining, just take another piece. Now we have a member, I'm not going to say her name because this will be on YouTube. I don't know if she wants her name out there, but she was making t-shirt bags, as a charity sewing project. And she was cutting off the arms, the sleeves of all of the shirts. These are perfect for the lining piece. So you just take the lining piece, put it right there and cut it out. So instead of throwing these away when you're doing things, making scarves or what have you, save your sleeves, save your tops, because you can get pieces out of that. And you can't do anything that you're going to do on the fold because it's not big enough. Unless you're that tiny, it's just not big enough. But you can do it for the lining pieces. So that is nice. So let's move all of that out of the way. Now, I did bring a piece of this. I don't know. I know that there are some people who are viewing. Actually, I've got a viewer from California. And so I need to really explain different things. This is just artist tracing paper. You just get it from any art supply store. And I actually get it on a rather large roll. So this is a long, nice long roll, if you can see. So it pretty much covers any pattern that I need. And then when you go to trace your pattern, you can see that you can see right through it. So hopefully you can see that. And then you just trace on here. What's nice about this paper as well is you can use a Sharpie and it doesn't go through. You can see, well, I don't have one out, but it doesn't bleed through like tissue paper does. So that's why I like this paper instead. So anytime I'm altering patterns or something like that, I also use that paper. All right, so let me just kind of move all this stuff out of the way. Hold on, let me refer to my notes here. Yeah. Okay, so I cut out a pair of underwear already. And that orange shirt that I showed you, that I told you I cut out the back, here's the back. And my son's mouth is gaped open again because he didn't know I took this shirt. But I didn't take it. He put it in the it needs to go away, I don't want it anymore pile. So I rescued it. But my issue is I want this soccer ball on my butt. I didn't really care about these letters up here because I don't even know what they mean. And then the soccer down here, that's cute. So that's why how I placed it here. So of course it was in half and I cut it, and here's my back. So there's my underwear back. Here's my underwear front. And see how I told you it's really small? It's much smaller. Let me show you. Let me hold it up together. See, it's much smaller than the back because the back is going to come around the front. And so it puts those two seams in the front, which makes it, for me, it makes it more comfortable. And the t-shirt that I have on, we had gone to a car show and they were giving these out. So this will eventually become a pair of underwear for me. All right, so then going back to my shirt, I'm a demo. Here's my lining. This will be on the outside. And then out of one of those sleeves, I cut the lining out of white because I think white against your area is probably better than putting a color there because then you don't have dyes and what have you. Now, I cut two. Why did I cut two? Because I'm going to make underwear later. So I just cut these out and just hold on to them. And that way I have the lining pieces already ready. I don't have to think about it. Don't have to go back and say, oh, I got to cut my lining. I've already got it. So here we go. All right. So to sew this, let me make sure I'm doing everything. You can sew this by machine or by serger. I think sewing it by serger is quick. You can have underwear made in less than an hour. So let's put it together. And I'm going to actually pin it together. So pretend like I'm sewing. So I'm going to take my lining piece, and it doesn't matter which side you start on. You can start at the front or the back. It doesn't matter. So I'm going to take my lining piece and I'm going to line it up. I mean, not my lining. Yes, my crotch piece, not the lining crotch piece. And I'm going to line it up with the front there. And then I'm going to take my lining piece and I'm going to put it on the other side and make a little sandwich of the front piece. So there we go. So the lining, the crotch piece is there. The crotch lining is there. So now I'm going to pin it as if I had sewn this. I was going to try to sew today and I said, oh, this is crazy because my machines are over there. And it was just kind of nuts to try to change everything. Let me make sure I'm up so you can see this. I'm doing a seam allowance of about 1/4 of an inch. So again, if you have a question, go ahead and type it in. Hopefully you can see the place where you type in a question. And what's nice is once this is posted back on our website, asgatlanta.org, then for wherever those questions are, you can just click on the question and it'll take you right there in the video. So you don't have to watch the whole video if you're trying to search for something. So what I have done is pinned where I would have sewn. Real simple, sewn or serged, real simple. There you go. So when you pull it down and you pull these two pieces together, what you will see is that it's in there and you have a nice clean seam there. So then how do you get the back on? Well, here we go. You drop that, you take the outside piece and you put it to the right side. So you're taking the right side of the front assembly now and the right side of the back piece, and you sew that 1/4 inch. We're going to pin it and pretend like I'm sewing. And these curves are opposite each other, but they will fit and come together with each other very nicely. And you could see as quickly as I'm pinning it, that's how quickly I could serge this up and I would be done. I mean, they're so quick to make. I actually made 8 pair about 2-3 weeks ago. And for the full 8 pairs, I think it may have taken me, I don't know, a couple of hours, and that's not bad. So then I'm going to sew this so you can see like I'm sewing it. And here we go. Now, you have an option. You can simply, uh, push this seam allowance in and then turn this under and top stitch this together. We don't want to do all that. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to roll this in and we're going to roll the back. Hold on, let me put it down. We're going to roll the back and the front to the inside like that. All right, so you can see I'm rolling it there. And then we're going to take, wait a minute, where am I? Yeah. Then we're going to take the back piece once we've rolled all that in, and we're going to put the lining piece to the inside of that. So what's going to happen is once we sew this together, when we turn it out, we'll have that seam completely encased. And I think that's just a much nicer, smoother look. So let me just pin this over. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. If you can't, let me know, ask a question. All right, so then now we have sewn this together, and now we'll just turn it out. And we'll just pull that out from the inside, and we'll pull the front out, and there we have it. And we have 2 seams that are nicely encased, and you see it's just pretty. Okay, so then at this point, we'll just pull the edges up, and we'll sew these sides. And I'm going to pin them instead of actually sewing. Trying to stay cognizant of staying in the camera view so you can see. But hopefully you can see how quickly you could do this, because as quickly as I'm pinning, this is how quickly I'll be sewing much faster than this, obviously. Oops. All right. And then we'll do that to the other side. And I want to actually pin it so you can see it in the kind of final state, and then I'll actually sew it after we go off air. I may wear them tomorrow. Who knows? Okay. All right, so we have both of our sides are pinned, and I'll just flip it to the right side so you can see it's a beautiful little pair of underwear. Yay! So now the last thing that we have to do, now that we have it together, is actually put the elastic in. Now there are a couple of things that you can do, and I want to talk about your different options. The first is you can actually insert or put your elastic on before you sew the side seams, and then sew the side seams last. I choose not to do it that way. I do it this way and then put the elastic in. Once you are, and if you choose to do that, that's fine. All you do is you just measure the elastic, how much you need, take off about an inch or two. If it's flat out, you would just measure the length, take off about an inch to 2 inches of your elastic, sew it on, and I'm about to give you different options, and then do the same at the top. So you would have a piece at the front and a piece at the back, and then sew up the side and you'd be finished. But I like sewing up the sides first and then putting the elastic in. So once you're here, what you'll do is, just like I'm holding it, you'll go ahead and mark your sides. Mark where you're going to mark your 4/4 so that you can match up the elastic to the top. So we're going to mark those two sides there. You all know how to do this. And then you'll open it up and bring those two pins, meet those two pins, so you get the other two sides, or the other quarter. I'm saying sides, but I should be saying the other quarter marks. And I'm just going to do the top because you do the bottom the leg openings the exact same way. So now we have the four, hopefully you can see the 4 pins that are there. So you see where the quarter marks are. Then you take your piece of elastic, you will join it together, the size that you need, take off it, based on your ease or what have you. Clearly this is not my waist, but it's just a piece of elastic that's sitting here. Just kind of sew over the overlap a couple of times, because you're just going to put it in as one big circle. Then quarter these off, and then join those quarters to your quarter marks on the underwear top or the leg openings, and then sew it in, stretching the elastic as you go. So if I were sewing it from this point to this point, then I would stretch my elastic with the quarter points. I would stretch it for that amount, and then go to the next, stretch it from that quarter point to this quarter point, and sew it in. So let's talk about how we actually sew it in. I'm going to take out my quarter marks for a second here. All right, there are a couple of options. The first thing is, on the wrong side, you can sew the elastic directly to the edge, facing the edge. I'm sorry, not facing the edge, but even with the edge. You would sew that, you can sew it with a zigzag, and remember, we're stretching as we go. And then we come back and we would fold that over. All right, and then just do another stitch on top, and that could be a zigzag or a straight stitch, because now it shouldn't have a problem, and you're going to stretch it again. And so in the black pair that I showed you, that I said it was I made a mistake, I stretched it too far. And so now I need to take it all out and just put the elastic back in properly. And that was my problem there. So be careful there. No, I'm sorry. I didn't stretch it too far. I didn't stretch it enough. I don't know which one. Either way, it didn't work. All right, so that's one way to put your elastic in. Another way, let me go with it. Oh, I didn't tell you about this one. I forgot it was sitting here. If you buy wider elastic, which is knitted elastic, you can actually, this is good because you can actually just cut it to whatever width you want. So I can actually just cut this and it's not going to ravel. So it will still work. So you can cut it to whatever width you want. Whereas this non-roll elastic, you can't do that. If you cut this, it's just going to continue to ravel and ravel and ravel. It's going to make a mess. All right, so that's one way to put it in. Another way to put it in is actually the elastic is actually just to make a casing. So you just fold over, your amount of seam allowance and a little bit extra for the width of the elastic so you can feed it through. Make a straight stitch, or probably a straight stitch is going to be better, all the way around the top, and then feed the elastic through. And you can feed it through with one of those little feeder things, or put a safety pin on, and then you're literally just going to push it through all the way around. Of course, you're going to leave an opening, pull them out, and then sew your edges, overlap and sew them together, and then you're finished. Another way that you can put it in is with the fold over elastic. You take this on the right side. Let me do it this way. On the right side, you will take this, and whichever side you want to use, the shiny side or the matted side, you put it against the outside, uh, edges even, and then you zigzag just on that side. And then, you know what? No, that's not right. Wait a minute. Let me look at it. Oh, you can do it that way, but it wouldn't fold over for you. So with the fold over elastic, let me do it another way. One, you remember I told you you don't need the seam allowances because you're using the fold over elastic. So here you literally can just fold it and just sandwich the top in there and then just sew it on. And you see it'll be on both sides. Okay. Another way that you can do it is take it and have the fold. I'm trying to do this in my head while I'm doing it with you. Wait a minute. Fold it here. It's another way you can put on the fold over elastic. It'll come to me in a minute. And then, of course, with this type of elastic, all you do is sew your underwear. Let's turn it this way. You would just even it up with this piece, that bottom piece, the bottom that's right here, that black piece. You would just line it up even with that and fold it, and you're done. So now, of course, if you're going to use elastic like this, you would take off a larger chunk on the top simply because you don't need all of this. You don't need all of this height on the underwear because this is going to take it up. See, so you wouldn't need all that height. You would take a part of that off. Let's see. There was something else I wanted to. Couple of things. I definitely encourage you 100% make a muslin, make a test pair. These are t-shirts that you don't plan to wear as t-shirts anymore anyway. So it doesn't matter if you use a pair and it didn't work out, but you want to make a pair to make sure that you're getting the leg openings correct, that your elastic is comfortable, that you're getting the right waist measurement, that you're getting it so that it fits your waist. A lot of my, hold on a second. Some of my underwear are much higher. And actually, this is a pair of the other ones. But this pair sits right at my navel, whereas this pair comes up beyond my navel. So when I'm wearing clothes like yoga pants that go under your navel, the top of my underwear are showing. So I have to push my underwear down. So what I did is when I made this pair, I have two patterns for this pair. And what I did is I cut some of the top off so that it will fit under my navel. So this is a pair of the smoothies that's with Jan Bones. This is another pair that I believe I got offline. And you see the seams are completely on the side. And then this is another pair. This is the other pattern I showed you where the front and the crotch piece are all one piece. Now, when we're talking about this one and you're saying, well, how do I sew that one? Because I just showed you how to do the other one. What you will do is sew the pieces here. So you would sew the lining piece to the front. And then you would fold it down so the seam is encased. You would roll the front and the back to the inside, just like we did on the other one. And then sew the bottom piece. This is the back and the front and the lining. Sew that and then flip it out like we did in order to have all of your seams encased. I just think it is a much cleaner look. You'll see here, these are gray on the inside. And you can see I serged everything, but you see how the seams are encased. I like that. I think it just looks better. And you can see I used my elastic. And what I did, and you don't have to do this, is I actually serged my edges first and then put the elastic in. But you, again, hold on. Again, you do not have to do that, but you'll see that I'm pretty consistent on keeping my seams to the inside. Now, this method that I'm showing you, you are always going to have, and that one you're not going to be able to see. So let's see. I use kind of different colors. I just do whatever. But if you can see, when you connect your crotch piece to the back or to the front, whichever way you go, you're going to see that stitching on the outside, and that's fine, because on the inside I did the flip method, and so you can see that the seam is completely encased, and that it's just cleaner for me. And these, of course, are all blue. I didn't even change the lining color here. But I've also washed this t-shirt in very hot water, so if anything's going to jump out and jump on me, ooh, oh well. All right. So if you have any questions, this is the time to go ahead and pose them. I thought it was going to take us much longer to get through this, but it actually didn't. I'm trying to just think if there are some other lessons that I've learned, some other tidbits. I'm looking at my notes here. No, I think I'm good. I think I have covered everything. Yeah, I think I've covered everything. The only thing I kind of messed up on was that the second way you can put that fold over elastic. So let's just take a moment and see if we can figure this one out. And if you know, if you can tell me, let me know. So let's just pretend like we're taking this and let's put it on the wrong side. Let's see if it'll work. Maybe that's where I was messing up. And pretend like we are sewing this on the wrong side. No, see, that doesn't work for me. Okay. I don't know. I can't think of it right now. I can't figure it out. So we are not going to worry about it. All right. If you don't have any questions, which I don't see any coming up on the screen, I am so excited that we have been able to come to you in this format. Again, this video will be available on our website, asgatlanta.org. And ASG, for those of you who don't know, is the American Sewing Guild. And it will also be available through YouTube. So if you want to go back and watch it again, feel free to do so. And I say to you, have a great time making your underwear. I love them. They are so comfortable. And the fact that I know that I'm not paying all of that money for underwear out in the stores is such a pleasure for me. So this is Joi Bostic bidding you adieu and happy underwear. Wait, let me give you the smiley face. Where did I put them? Oh, I don't have it here. Oh, here we go. So here's smiling at you. Yay! Bye-bye.